Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Holt Outdoors Podcast. I am really excited to be bringing everybody this one today. We appreciate all of you who are watching or listening to this one. Today, I've got a good guest on. Going to be changing topics just a little bit, but really looking forward to talking about it. And before we get going too far, I got to thank our sponsor, Johnson's Telemetry, always taking care of me with the Garmin. With all my Garmin needs. I'm loving mine so far. It's working for me. There's lots of good options out there, but that's working for me. So, I looking forward to this one. We've been hunting a little bit. The weather's kind of starting to break some. Still just riding the struggle bus with Shy, ups and downs, trying to figure something out. So, we're just going to keep grinding away and, just looking forward to spring and a little better weather coming. And also CCS season 2 is in the making. We are working on it. So keep your eyes peeled for that. If you're interested in being one of the first ones to get to see that and really helping us out with everything that we're doing, then go over there, be a member, and hit that membership button, and that really helps us out. So without a further ado, let's get to today's guest, Mr. Tim Baker.
Hey, Brandon, how are you?
I'm good, Tim. How are you?
Doing well. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no problem. I'm glad to have you on here. Gives me a chance to learn something a little different than I'm not used to, and that's what we're all about. So just kind of a broad variety of topics and supporting all different types of people that are hunting with dogs of all kinds. So, I'm glad to have you on here, and I'm excited to learn a little bit something different.
Good.
Well, if you don't mind, just tell the people exactly kind of where you're from, a little bit of your background, and kind of how you grew up.
Great. Well, my name's Tim Baker, and I'm from Jackson, Tennessee, and I moved to Springfield, Missouri area in 1987. So I've lived over here longer than I ever lived in Jackson, but you know how it is. You're never from here if you're born here. So anyway, I got into bird dogs back in 1984, and I got my first Springer Spaniel. That Springer was not the quality of dogs that I have today. And when I realized that and I saw what other people had, that was always one of my goals, is to have a good field-bred Springer, good genetics, good quality dog. And so that started a long journey. I've had several through the years. But I've kind of got hooked on the Springer Spaniels, which is a little different than all the other people that get into bird dogs. You know, they go with more of the popular pointing breeds. I went with the fleshing dogs. You know, I've always kind of done things my own way, a little bit different. But, you know, one thing I like about the Springers, and this might cause some people to question, my mentality, but I grew up walking ditch rows with whatever I had, what kind of dog I had, kicking up rabbits or quail or whatever. I'm just hunting, right?
Yeah.
Springers, you can do that. You can do that. You can shoot rabbits over them. You can shoot birds over them. And if you've got them trained right, you're not messing up your bird dog. You're not messing up. They're a hunting dog. And so over the years, I've killed a lot of rabbits with my Springers while I'm out in the field. You got to be careful. You got to know what know where your dog is. You got to make sure if you're shooting ground game, you're not anywhere close to your dog. But that's kind of how I got started in life. And the dog just seemed to fit what I was needing and my style. So With the Springers, though, we start in September, and I use them retrieving doves and recovering doves at dove fields, and then we move into a few hunt tests or field trials where we're using chuckers or pheasants, and then we go into the woodcock season and hunt woodcock pretty extensively here in Southwest Missouri, and might take a trip or two. I've been last couple of years I've gone to Wisconsin hunting grouse and woodcock with my spaniels. A trip over to Kansas, maybe a trip to North Dakota. We just kind of travel around where we need to go. But for the most part, right here in Southwest Missouri, it's dove season in September and woodcock season through November, and go out and have fun and enjoy the dogs.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess I didn't realize that they were such a versatile hunting dog.
Right. So even in the water, we don't necessarily train them to be the full finished retriever that a lot of people think of with the retriever breeds in the water. But back in 2018, that dog right here in the picture behind me, Josie, she was my duck dog that year, and we were on the river when the temperature was cold and all the ducks were off the ponds. They were froze over, and we shot a lot of ducks on the river that year, and used her for the retrieving duties. It's been a special year to think back on and look at my pictures that I had for that year as well.
Yeah.
But we test them in the water in our spaniel events. So during the summertime, I spent a lot of time at a local friend's place at his little lake in his front yard, and we really work on water work a lot in the summertime when it's too hot to be running in a field and flushing birds.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's I didn't realize that about them. So I guess take me back to what's one of your earliest memories with this type of a Springer, dog. Was it rabbit hunting? Was it bird hunting? What's some of your earlier memories on that front?
I always did a little bit of everything with them. Finding quail has been on the decline for a number of years. So I would go find quail locally, and if I happened to jump a rabbit while I was looking for birds, I'd take a rabbit. In the early 90s, I had access to a local farm after the deer season closed and before quail season ended. They would invite me to come and chase the quail around.
Yeah.
And memorable hunt. We killed 16 quail and 7 rabbits.
Wow.
There's 3 or 4 of us doing it. But still, that was quite the day that day. And
I would say so.
And I was using the dog I had at the time was probably as ill trained as any that I've had over the years. Quite frustrating at times. But for some reason, the connection, she just didn't want to be connected like these dogs I have now. She was a purebred dog, but they're not all going to turn out exactly right. You've probably seen that in dogs you've had. You buy from the best you can find, but they all don't turn out like their mom and dad sometimes,
Yeah, absolutely.
But I had fun with her, retrieving my doves, and I learned to hunt with her. But over the years, I've had dogs with different personalities and different styles a little bit, all Springers. And some, even though they're not always able to be trained to a high level, I could still figure out how to hunt with them. And so that was my goal, was always, hunting first,
right.
Sure.
Right. Well, and, forgive me, cause I don't know a whole lot about those different types of dogs, but what is just a general rule of thumb for difference in all those, I guess they're called pointing dogs, right? I mean,
right.
Just
pointing breeds.
Yeah. What is your different breeds, and just kind of, the high points, if you will, and how they're different?
Sure. You know, for many years, you know, the English pointer and the English setter were some of the mainstays in the bird dog world.
Mm-hmm.
Then came along the German short hair pointer. You know, there's a lot of people that you know, wouldn't have anything but a German short hair. Brittany's are just smaller dogs. They're more like a size of a lot of the Springers. They're a pointing breed, but they are smaller. And a lot of people refer to them as more closer working dogs. However, the Brittany Club has horseback field trials. So some of those dogs, bloodlines, you could just get on a horse and they just take off and cover ground, and you just kind of follow them on horseback for half hour, to an hour brace. And a lot of times the horse is more transportation. It's not that the dog's running off and you got to ride fast to keep up with them, but it's just transportation so that when that dog goes on point, you can get there more quickly than on foot.
Okay.
And so, and if you're going to watch dogs all day, I'd sure rather be riding a horse than walking.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where the horse kind of comes in a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But then you have your versatile breeds like your German wire hairs, your Drothars, which are somewhat the same, but they'll argue they're different, but they're similar. Long-haired, versatile dogs. And then you got your Vizslas, your Weimaraners, Mustalanders. There's just a wide variety. Their whole goal for those dogs is to go out, find game, and point it.
Yeah.
And then hold point until you can get up there and produce the bird and maybe get a shot at it. So all I've ever had for years was the Springer Spaniels. And of course, you know, a lot of people didn't understand how in the world was I hunting in the Ozarks with a dog that wouldn't point. But you know what? I figured out how to do it, and we did it quite well.
Yeah.
But about 5 years ago, out of curiosity, I got an English setter. And my goal with him was not to make him a Springer. My goal with him was just let him go do his thing and let me learn. Let me learn what these dogs are supposed to be doing. Yeah. And so I needed to be able to get him to come back to me at some point and not run off. And I heard you mention Garmin. I told my wife, I said, I'm going to lose him one day, and then I'll go buy a GPS unit, or I can just go ahead and get it.
Yeah.
Hopefully not lose him and have that story. So I went and bought a Garmin tracking device and collar system, and really just to be able to go find my dog, you know,
right.
If he were to run off. And he's been, I don't know if I could have asked for a better dog to start with my first pointing breed. There's some things I'm still trying to figure out. But at one point I was really frustrated with him because I couldn't kill my birds as well. Just the thickets, what you're trying to do, how do you have to get in there and make the bird fly and all that. I could kill birds over my Springers a whole lot easier. And a lot of people, they can't figure that out till they go with you and watch what's going on.
Yeah. I was going to say, why is that?
Well, a lot of it's the cover. Woodcocks in timber, thickets, briar patches. They'll run from the dog, and the dog's on point, but you can't get the bird to flush if you can't get to where the bird is. And if you don't know exactly where the bird is, then you're in there stomping around in briars trying to figure out how to make a bird fly. And invariably, it's going to get up behind you. It's going to go around the tree. It's going to put a cedar tree between you and it. Whereas my Spaniels, I can stand 10 yards outside the cover, put my dog in there and let them put the bird up. Now I'm back away from the cover. I can shoot over the top. I can see better. And I'm a little better prepared, ready to, to be able to take a shot. But until you see it, it's kind of hard to know what are you talking about? But it's been fun, and it's been fun to use them in combination,
Right.
Setter goes on point. I haven't trained him to be totally broke to wing and shot like a lot of people think you should. as long as he's holding point till I get there and I can get a shot at the bird, then I'm not worried about whether he takes off chasing it or moving after the flush. But I can get up there and turn a spaniel loose, and that spaniel will find that bird, put it in the air for me. We can make it work quite well and safely. So
yeah, well, that's I gotta say I've never actually been hunting any type of bird hunting with a dog like that. So I'm definitely interested to see, how they work and all that stuff. But I do have a question for you.
Sure.
So obviously, because the night that we kind of met each other the first time there, it was on a cast, a competition cast for coon hunting. And so that's what I do, or, that's my hobby. And I understand all things dog related and knows through that lens, so
Right.
I'm curious, and I'm sure maybe somebody listening to this might be too, but how does a Springer Spaniel, how does its nose work and its hunting style and all those things? I'm looking at it from a Coonhound perspective. They can pick up the scent, and whether it's a cold track or a hot track or whatnot, this is kind of a different style of hunting and a different thing that's happening. So how does the nose and the hunting style and all that kind of work together in one of these dogs that you're explaining?
Okay. Well, let's start with your Coonhound. How does it find a track? How does it find a track out in the woods at night? It's going to be quartering. It's going to use the wind. It's going to go to things that now I don't know how well they see at night, but they're going to go to places that they feel like they're going to get in a good spot to find a coon. Right? They're going to get down in the waterway. They're not going to be running off up somewhere where they've never found a coon before. They're going to be going where they can go find one. My setter, it knows thickets, and if it sees an area that looks like it might have a bird in it, it's going to go look that thicket over, and it's going to search for it. Once it gets there, it's going to start dissecting that thicket with the wind in the right spot. So, because it's trying to find a bird. Now, first thing, it's not really trying to find a bird. It's trying to find where that bird's been. And then it'll track that bird to go find where it's at.
Yeah.
So, a lot of the hunt style is they're still trying to do the same thing. They're trying to find game scent.
Yeah.
My springers stay in gun range. So they're not going to take off and make a 100-yard cast out in the field and try to find scent. They're going to be in gun range, and they're going to be covering cover that should hold the bird, that they know that the bird should be there. Then as you get into cover, they really start dissecting that cover, and they're trying to get on the downwind side of where that bird might have been. So my dogs aren't going to get on a cold track because birds are not going to leave necessarily a cold trail like that. Yeah. They're going to hit a hot track like a coonhound or a beagle hound would, and they're going to start tracking that bird. Yeah. So a few years ago, I started donating woodcock hunts to charities. Okay, so I would take people hunting that's never seen a Springer work. They've never seen a woodcock. They don't even know what this is going to look like. They might have been to a game farm, and in a game farm, you're out in an open field. You kind of know where the birds are put down at, and they kind of know we need to be paying attention. But they go with me, and they're like, well, what is this? What are we doing here? Well, just watch the dog. The dog's going to go in and cover the thicket, come back around. It's going to be doing its quartering pattern or a pattern through the thicket looking for a bird. It's going to swing out to the right a little bit. Then you're going to see it come across to the left. And you're going to get into a rhythm of how quickly that dog moves from one side to the next. It's going to flow fairly smoothly. If that dog gets off to one side and doesn't come back, then pay attention, because something's keeping it in that thicket.
Yeah.
And so as we were moving along and they started seeing this, all of a sudden we were standing outside a nice little thicket and my dog just goes ballistic. It's in there. It cranked up the speed. He's tracking. He's working a little quicker. And one guy says, looks like he might be smelling a bird. I said, I'm thinking the same thing. If I was you, I'd get ready to shoot. And I moved over behind his brother, and it wasn't 3 or 4 seconds later, here comes the woodcock flying over the thicket.
Yeah.
They shot and missed it. Apologized. And I said, that's your story. It's not mine. That's fine. But I had them look back, and I said, you see where the bird came from? Yeah, look over there. My dog's sitting there waiting on the next command. So my dogs are steady to flush. They put the bird up. When we put the bird up, they stop and they wait on, well, do I get to go make a retrieve or not? So, but that's kind of what that looks like, if that helps you any.
Yeah. And I do have a question. So when a dog goes on point, which, I'm comparing that to, coon dog giving that locate and starting to, tree, that's that moment that you're waiting on, looking for. Right. Is that 100% based on scent and do different breeds point at a different distance, or how does a dog know when to point? If it's, well, first, I guess let me ask, is it 100% based on scent, like how strong that scent is coming in?
They're not seeing the bird.
Yeah.
They're going to be a distance away from that bird. They're not seeing it, but they know it's there.
Yeah. And so typically they're going to go on point, within a distance, and then they don't want to flush the bird or they shouldn't flush the bird until they've been given a command by you, the hunter, or whatnot, to go ahead and do so.
Actually, they should never flush the bird. Mm-hmm. They should be still all the way up until the bird flies. And the handler should get in the head of the dog to do that.
Gotcha.
That's what we hope for. And actually, in some of the upper end bird dog field trials, that dog, or even like master hunter testing at AKC levels and different NAVDA and things like that, at the upper level, that dog should not even move a foot. The bird should fly, you should shoot. The dog should not even move until it's given a command to go make a retrieve or let's go hunting again. Wow. So that's the ultimate. Trained at that level. A lot of people, normal hunters, if that dog will just hold long enough to get me in range, they're not worried about that either. They're there just to, pull the trigger, let's shoot something. The distance they point depends on how good the wind conditions are, how good the scenting conditions are. When do they hit that scent and know that's really a bird and not just old scent somewhere? That's the magic sauce. That's the genetics. So my English setter, I got him at 4.5 months, and I taped up a pigeon, put it in some tall grass back in my backyard. I got 3 acres and I got about an acre that I play dogs in. Put that bird down in that grass, and when he got downwind, immediately went on point. And he would stand there and you could drink a cup of coffee. He was not going to go in any further on that bird. And so, so I've watched that with other dogs too. If he's ever real close to that bird when he goes on point, that's because that's the spot that he was when he hit scent. If you think about a dog quartering down, with the wind at the wrong direction, he might come in on that bird a little bit differently than straight downwind. Yeah. So he's not going to he doesn't have a chance to smell it till he gets in the right spot. And at that point, that's when you see a dog just slam into those points that you might see on a video somewhere, because they're hitting the scent at the right spot. I've got a video I put on Instagram the other day. My dog was running downwind, and he went just 2 feet to the right-hand side of a bird in a release box. And just as soon as he passed that bird and hit scent, he just twisted around and locked up on point. I mean, just slams.
Yeah.
And so, and that's the fun part, right? We like to see them when they do that. But they tend to run bigger than your vision can see them. So you don't always get to see them go on point. You just go find them on point. Kind of like, you know, if you could hunt coons in the daytime and you could really watch that pack of dogs work that track.
Yeah.
See them check up, go back on track, find it, and then get to that tree. If you could really watch that, you know what's going on because you're listening to them.
Yeah.
You know, you got a picture in your head what's going on, but you don't always get to see that, you know, see them actually do that. And a lot of the dogs, when they go on point, they're not in eyesight of you, or they shouldn't be, because that's why the pointing breed's for. Go find birds, go cover ground.
Yeah.
My springers know when my springers get downwind, like in our field trial, we know which way the wind's blowing, right? We can go up a little bit of grass and go, oh, it's going this way. So we kind of know where the wind is. And when that dog gets downwind of that bird and snaps his head into the scent cone and drives in and produces that bird, that's where that's the fun part. You know, that's exciting to watch. It's a drug, you know, and you don't get that with some of the other breeds because you're not always there watching them. And in my opinion, if you're creating your dog to hunt closer, just so you can see that, you're giving up some of the best hunting, you know, style in their natural genetics to go out and find birds.
Yeah.
But
no,
you know,
that's a really good, you know, thought that I hadn't thought of really is, you know, the thing about the coon dogs is everything seems to be such a mystery. You know, it's like it's dark out and we don't really know what happened. Was they running a deer first? Was they, you know, on some other kind of off game? Was this a cold track that turned into a different hot track from a totally different coon? And those things are, I think, can be so frustrating about the coon dogs is the mystery and the unknown, because it's dark and they're 500 yards away, they're a mile away or whatever. And so, yeah, seems like that would be a ton of fun just to be, you know, right there, being able to see everything going on in the daylight, kind of like you just described.
Right. And that's really kind of the fun part when I'm training dogs during the year, is that I get to go watch that show.
Yeah.
You know? If I shoot a bird that becomes a real long retrieve, to watch that dog go towards that bird and then leaves the line just a little bit to slide down on the downwind side. And then when they get downwind of that bird, watch them snap and then come right back in on the bird, you know? Yeah. And to be able to narrate that for people and say, all right, watch this. He's on the turn about right now. And he snaps. And they go, how'd you know that? Well, that's where the wind's blowing, you know?
Yeah.
Where he's got to get to be able to find that bird.
It's really cool stuff. I mean, I love dogs, you know, and any kind of dog work just kind of, I don't know, it interests me a ton. I mean, kind of what you're describing reminds me a lot of, you know, what canines would be on a police force or whatever. That
exactly.
You know, just how they can just snap their head and detect something, you know, quickly. So they must have a really, really good nose on them.
Well, they have to. You know, I had somebody say one time, you know, I heard flushing dogs don't have a good nose. And I'm like, really? Why is that? And they said, well, if they had a better nose, they point. I'm like, no, I think you got that wrong. That they're not flushing because they can't smell them. You know, they're flushing them because that's their genetics. You know, that's just how they were designed.
Yeah.
And so, and pointing dogs should point. Now, there's a lot of great bloodline pointing dogs out there, and every now and then there's one that becomes quite the flusher for a while. You know, they have to learn they can't catch the bird, and then they start stopping and waiting on, you know, waiting on you to get there to help them with that.
Right.
But but over the years, you know, I was reading a story, you know, about a guy that quail hunted quite a bit in the 50s and 60s, and you would think that he would have had, you know, the tip top best dogs all the time, you know. But he wrote about having a dog one time that never really would point the birds. It would run a circle around them. It'd stay in the area, run a circle around them. And then whenever he got within about 25 yards of them, he'd look at him and then he'd blow right through the middle of them, scatter the birds. You know, but then within 20, 25 yards, the birds are getting up. He can see around cover. He can see around trees, you know, and he can just pick his birds out and, you know, and kill birds. And I thought about that and I went, well, that's what my spaniels do. I'm 15, 20 yards from them. They're putting birds up. I can shoot at them, you know. But he didn't worry about that, you know, but he's just hunting and whatever the dog's doing, as long as it helped give him shots, he was okay with that. Yeah. And that's some things that we have to go back and look at and go, how realistic are we being? You know, do we want the upper end dog, but yet, you know, we don't have time to put the effort in, you know, we're sitting in an office every day or doing a day job. How much time do you have to really develop the dog? You know, most people want a dog to do three things: find game, produce game, and help get it back to you. And if you look at the Coonhounds, you know, they're doing the same thing. They go find game, they get it treed, and they help you get it. And so that can look a lot of different ways. I mean, you go to these competition hunts, they're all nice dogs, but they all have a day at some point to where you go, wow, what dog's that? You know? Bird dogs are the same way, you know? And that's one reason I came out to that coon hunt, was because out of curiosity, I like hounds. My grandpa had hounds years ago, but I had to go see what this coonhound thing was all about, you know?
It was not the greatest night that we went.
Right.
Still a little snow on the ground and you know, pretty chilly that night, but none of the dogs, in my opinion, looked very good, but not the greatest conditions either. But yeah, it's fun, and man, it's frustrating. Any kind of raising and training dogs, it's frustrating, but man, when it pays off and things go the right way, it's rewarding. Yeah,
it really is. You know, I was running my dog in the field trial last Saturday, and so we run under one judge in the first series. So they split the field in half, and each judge is watching half the dogs. And then if you do well and you don't do anything, you know, fatal to your trial day, you get to run under the other judge in the second series. Okay. And so after 2 rounds, then really the judges have only seen your dog one time. You know, both judges have seen your dog one time. They have to go through their score sheets and figure out what dogs do they want to see in the last round together.
I gotcha.
And so the first series judge goes, all right, dog 44. How did that look for you? He said, well, that's one of my best dogs. And the guy goes, nah, she's out. She messed up. And he goes, oh, you're kidding me. So I asked that judge kind of where I was that day in his because he saw half the dogs, right? He goes, you know, I didn't want to be specific, like, was I your best dog? You know, because it didn't matter. I was out, right? Yeah. But I said, you know, was I in the top 5? He goes, oh, definitely. You probably had one of my top 5 runs. So, so I had a dog that's, man, she just looked super nice. And then the next series, she messed up. So having one that can put the whole day together, it's kind of like a coonhound that, you know, puts 3 good trees together in a hunt, you know, not just the first one and then what happened with the rest of them, but goes out and does 3 times in a row, and you go,
exactly.
Man, that was obvious, you know? So, but yeah, when it comes together, it's really cool, you know? watch them compete and do the right things.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't want to ask you too hot of a topic, but me and I've got a buddy who I work with that he tells me stories. He's told me stories before in the past of his grandpa, going from county road to county road hunting and killing quail, way back in the day. And I'm just curious from you, what do you think has been the downfall of quail, at least in our area? We're in Southwest Missouri. And can we ever get it back? I mean, I know that was a big deal around here,
Right. I don't know. There's a lot more intelligent people than me that still can't figure it out themselves.
Yeah.
So I don't, there's a lot of theories out there. I'd say one of the best ideas I heard somebody say one time is that if we had, in the early 70s, we had just a lot of quail everywhere. And so if farmers could go back to farming like they did in the early 70s, then maybe we could get it back.
Yeah.
The lack of insecticides, the lack of fescue grass back in the day, more hedgerows that weren't cleared out totally all the way to the fence line.
Yeah.
Back then farmers, they really didn't have the time to wipe all of their fence rows out,
Right. Right.
And everybody says, well, we don't have any grain anymore. Well, let me tell you, quail aren't eating grain from, March to November. They're eating bugs. The chickens are eating insects. We got to make sure we got a good crop of insects for the birds to eat, and then your weed seeds have to mature to produce feed for them, through the fall. Grain helps in the wintertime, obviously, if there's some soybeans or some wheat or something that they can get to eat, corn. But a lot of the year there are no row crops. But with the row crops, there would be insects on those row crops, soybeans growing and things like that. There'd be insects on them. So you have to go back and look at the whole environment, but food and shelter and protection, those are the key things, Can quail come back? Absolutely. I think if they've given a chance, they can nest and expand pretty quick, if given a chance. But what does all of that need to look like? I don't know,
Yeah.
And I really haven't gone out specifically for quail until this year. For years, I'd get through the woodcock season and I was just kind of done. But at times when you can find where quail are, maybe you go in December or January and go see if they're still there, and if there's enough birds, take a couple. But the day of going out just to shoot your lemon every day, it'll be a long time before we really see an opportunity like that.
Yeah. That's unfortunately probably that's what a lot of people would probably say right now. I've seen some like out in the spring turkey hunting, and things like that, but it's that's unfortunate, but I guess there's just not a lot that can be done right at the moment, but at least there's some other critters to chase and have fun with. But
right.
I had to move to Iowa for work for about a year, and I'm obviously from here in Preston, but I got up there and I was working one day. I'd been there for a little while, but I was working on something, and you know how it is in Iowa. There's CRP fields and just it's different than it is here. And I saw something over there on the edge of this ditch, and I was like, "What in the world is that?" I have never seen anything like that. It was a pheasant, and I was just I've never seen one before. Being
Right.
from Southwest Missouri, and I was kind of like, man, that thing looks pretty cool, And so I, it's just a completely different world, and um, you know, I'd definitely like to try it sometime.
Right. Yeah. Pheasant hunting's a lot of fun. Back in '04, I made my first out of Missouri hunting trip. I went up to Montana to hunt birds up there.
Oh yeah,
Um, and I was overwhelmed with how far you could see, how far you could walk. I was just like, how in the world do you do this? Right. Because
yeah,
I could go I could go a whole season and never hunt anything over 35 acres in size for woodcock. And then
right.
you get up there and you can see for 4 miles, and you go, you do what? He goes, just walk that way. Just keep walking that way. Up to a ditch eventually, and the birds will be piled up there, be blocked on that ditch row or on that little creek bottom. And I'm like,
Yeah,
really? And then you just trust the guy that, okay, they'll be there eventually. So you just keep walking.
yeah,
And then
yeah,
cactus blues and things like that. I got introduced to a lot of stuff that week. After that, I spent several years going to Kansas and trying to hunt over there on public land and walk in stuff. And I finally went to the Dakotas on opening weekend about 3 years ago. And
okay,
and we had a lot of fun, saw a lot of birds and killed quite a few. Um, but but it was just three guys. We weren't the 20-man pheasant hunt you see on videos. There
yeah,
was three guys. We just get out of the truck when we hit a field with one dog each, and we go circle around a cattail slough. We swing this way. We try to pinch into a corner. Um, but it was just us and our dog. We weren't out there with a whole bunch of people trying to corral birds up and get a bunch. That
yeah,
really wasn't our focal point.
yeah,
And I really enjoyed that. That was a lot of fun. Um,
yeah, yeah,
so, but then last 2 years I've gone to Wisconsin and went ruffed grouse hunting and woodcock hunting up there.
yeah,
Uh, Now that's a whole nother ball game. You know, those grouse get out of there quickly and they're in the trees. I mean, people talk about a gun that you can mount and look down the rib just right and all that. You don't have time for that for grouse. If you're shooting with your gun on your shoulder, you're probably shooting too late. I mean,
Uh,
it is some crazy, fast, quick stuff. Every now and then you get the right combination. You better not miss it, but it's
what is your weapon of choice for that scenario, and for hunting back home here?
well, hunting here for woodcock a few years ago. I started using a side by side.
Okay,
So so I've got a side by side bob. It's a bob white model made by CZ. It's a double trigger 20 gauge.
okay,
I used it for about 7 or 8 years, and then I happened to be at an auction one day, and I went to buy an LC Smith, a classic American double. I went to buy that gun, but before they got to it, they picked up a Fox Sterlingworth 16 gauge,
Hmm.
held it up, and they said, we have a starting bid of $600. He'll give me 650. Well, that's a pretty reasonable price for that gun. And I figured I'd bid a few times, get practice getting ready for that LC Smith, and let somebody else buy it.
yeah.
I bid 650 and bought it. And I'm like, are you kidding me? What am I going to do with a 16 gauge? I don't have 16 gauge shells. They're
Yeah.
expensive. I can talk myself out of it. But I got the gun. Man, it pointed where I was looking. Even though the chokes were kind of tight, it pointed where I was looking. I was having fun with it.
Yeah.
So I sent the barrels off, had them opened up to more bird hunting chokes in woodcock. And so that's my primary gun I like to shoot now. And then I've got a CZ Bob White and 28 gauge now.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
Took it out. I got it out of curiosity, just to, everybody's talking about it. I found one. I thought, yeah, I'll give it a try. I've been really impressed with its ability in the woodcock woods, and hunting things. I'll take it with anything, any of them. The biggest thing is get a gun that points where you're looking, that fits you.
Yeah.
If you do that, you're going to shoot better than you've ever had with any other gun. And you'll have fun with it.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. It's interesting to hear, someone's take on, these different things, because I'm only used to 1 gauge, and that's 12 gauge, and that's for that's for spring turkeys,
Right.
But yeah. So I guess I'd just kind of like to go back just a little bit here. So those dogs, I'm curious, just because of MySpace and the Coonhounds. A lot of their ability is natural, but we also have quite a bit of our touch on a dog as well. With some people don't want to put a big handle on a dog, and some want them to have a good handle, and just a lot of training goes into things. Like, there's some dogs that need a lot of training, some that are naturally good at what they do. So I'm just curious, and I'm talking just for you to go out and have a good time with some buddies or whatnot, go kill a few birds and have a good time with your dogs and your buddies. How much of that is natural from the dog, and how much of that experience is from you having to, teach him to bring you the bird back or whatnot? Is it about a 50-50? Is it,
it's kind of hard to put
what does it take to get that dog to where you can go do something like that and have a good time?
If you get a nicely bred Springer, you don't have to teach it to hunt. It's going to hunt. What we do is we teach the obedience side.
Right.
We teach the sit, stay, and come.
Mm-hmm.
So, for lack of a better word, we try to brainwash them to think that they're going to find birds close to us, not out there away from us. That keeps them close. And we convince them of that by the way we use birds in training. So if they learn that they can go 80, 90 yards down the field and find a bird, we quit putting birds at 80 and 90 yards down the field. They only find them within 20 yards of us. If they're running, and so once they start punching down the field, we'll not put birds on the field. We'll have them on us. And when the dog takes off and runs and thinks he can find something out there, we're going to throw a bird over here close to us. And then we'll wait on that dog to come back, and we'll cast over, and boom, they find a bird. And then they learn within a certain distance and proximity of us as the handler, that's where they're going to find game.
That's interesting.
And so we teach them a come in whistle just to roll them and bring them to us. And so that bonding and that development is what helps them become even better hunting dogs for us. Somebody with a young dog that doesn't really build that bonding, that dog's going to get away from them. It's going to go down the field and go find stuff on its own. And the dog has to learn that they need to stay with us if they're going to find something.
Yeah.
I'm kind of an anomaly. There's other people like me, but I'm a guy that I train all my dogs with no e-collar.
Okay.
No any collar conditioning. I do some in the retriever game. There's a term called force fetch that can hit a lot of people differently. But here's the way I look at it. I want to build a relationship with a dog. I don't want to be authoritarian. I'm not going to sit there and screw them down to where they have to do everything exactly like I want, because I feel like that kind of takes away from some of their natural abilities, their genetics that you bought. So what I try to do is if they do what I want, I'm going to give them what they want. Kind of a concept. So, so with throwing bumpers, you've seen people with retrievers, they set them down beside them and throw a bumper. The dog stays until they go get it.
Yeah.
With my springers, when they've produced birds, they're going to be away from me. They're going to be 20, 25 yards away from me, or more or less. But when they produce a bird, they've got to stop out there, not at heel next to me. So I've got to get them to where they're comfortable being away from me and still waiting for me to send them. So at first, I'll throw bumpers where I'm between them and the bumper, and I can put my hand up and I can stop them. I can give a little bit of pressure with my presence.
Yeah.
But once they're doing that good, then you gradually throw that bumper around to where all of a sudden you're throwing it over their head. They're turning around backwards. You're totally behind them. There's nothing between them and the bumper. And when they can sit there and wait on you to call their name to send them for a retrieve, then you're getting somewhere. You're getting close.
Yeah.
Now
it's very impressive.
Now let's put a live bird in the middle of it. Okay. So I use a lot of pigeons, and I'll wing tape a bird so that I'll take the wing up on one side, the feathers all together, so it can't fly far. It's not going to fly off.
Yeah.
So I'll throw that bird, and now it's flying very erratically, and it lands out there 30 yards away, and that dog has to wait until I send him for the retrieve. And they get used to that. And they're like, okay, I got that. So then you throw one and you fire a blank gun. And they get used to starting to simulate a hunting scenario.
Yeah.
And you build on this all the way up until finally you're actually shooting birds for the dog.
Yeah.
You know? But they got to show they can handle all this along the way. So that's where the training comes in. It's not teaching them they need to go find a bird or teaching them how to go find a bird. I'm teaching them just the obedience with a bird involved. Their biggest distraction, their biggest want. And, but what's interesting is some dogs, once they learn that, they got it.
Yeah.
Got it, and you can trust them. My 9-year-old dog is about to turn 9 in April. She was just a young dog when she learned to stop. While she's running, I could throw a bumper, and the bumper in the air was her stop command, basically. When she saw it, she stopped and sit.
Yeah.
And then she'd wait on me to send her for the retrieve. So I wasn't trying to stop her, then throw it, or give her a command when I threw it. I could just throw it, and that's her stop command. And her mother was that way. She's been that way. And now I've got 4 kids of hers, and 3 of them are old enough that they're doing that too. And that's the genetics you start looking for. Is it trainable? Can they do it and have fun, or are you putting too much pressure on them? But it's just a gradual thing to do. And that's where the fun comes in, with playing with dogs,
Yeah.
So I had a dog that came back for training. And last year we were starting to work on his master test at the end of the year. And we got a couple of passes, but at early October, his owner picks him up because we weren't going to go into any other events for a while. He picks him up and takes him back to Overland Park, Kansas. He lives in the house. The neighbor kids knock on the door and want Johnny to come play with them. And he's just living the life of Riley, right?
Yeah.
He shows up Sunday. The guy comes down, watches the field trial, puts him in my truck. And that afternoon, we had some leftover birds we haven't used. So I went training, after the trial in a long 3 days. What do? I go bird hunting some more, get home after dark. But first bird he produced, set, watched it fly. I turned and killed the bird. Looked back, he's still sitting there. Called his name, and he goes and makes a retrieve. I haven't seen that dog, and he hasn't had any bird work in 4 months.
Wow.
And yet he knows what he's doing. Yeah. And that to me is one reason I like this particular line. Can other ones do it? Absolutely. Which ones are they? I don't know. I've never had them, but I've got, but that's the comfort level to a level that we really get to with these dogs, is that they can just do their thing and we don't have to interject any more than necessary.
Yeah.
And it's really just just that connection and that bonding is 100% more important than trying to put them on birds all the time.
Yeah.
Just get them to work with you.
Yeah, that's very well said. I mean, I think a lot of that can apply to the guys with the coon dogs too. I don't. I hate to think about a dog operating out of fear. You kind of touched a little bit on that with not using a shot collar and an e-collar, I should say. But yeah, I really don't ever want one that has to operate out of fear.
Right.
I want them to want to go and want to do a good job and, want to please you. And, those are the ones that to me end up being the good ones. I'm struggling right now with the dog I've got. He's had some health issues and, I try not to make excuses for him, but he's had some health issues, and when he's not had health issues, he's just up and down like a roller coaster. And I'm trying to figure him out, and it's hard though, because I do have a bond with him, and but yeah, that just makes it a lot funner, a lot better, and you probably get a lot more out of the dog whenever they feel like they can trust you and they've got a bond with you.
Right. The e-collar, I'll touch on this too. The trainers that really know what they're doing with them don't use them a lot. They just use enough that they need. They're not overdoing it. And they can have very excited and happy dogs ready for that collar to put on them. And they get a lot of good work out of them. If you don't know what you're doing with them, get with somebody that does. And if you feel like they're a little more heavy-handed than you like, then go find somebody else to be your mentor.
Yeah.
You don't have to be heavy-handed in order to get where you want to be at. Now, some dogs are just hard-headed dogs, and you got to use enough authoritarian pressure to make them comply to a degree. But you know what? If you're having to do that, then you need to back up and reassess, your goal with that dog. It might not be one that goes and plays games. I had one years ago that I could get him to set steady for me to throw something for him to retrieve a few times, but that was going to be it. He wanted to go so bad that there was just no way he was going to stay steady. Now, some people go, oh, well, I could have fixed that. I probably could have too, but I didn't want to. I didn't need to be that way on him. Now, I could take him and go hunting. He hunted well. He covered ground good, had a well of a nose, retrieved well. But there was just something that he just wasn't going to do and be able to control his impulses. These other dogs do everything really nice and control their impulses. They're more pleasurable,
Yeah.
So there's that.
Yeah. Well, I've learned more, just listening to you here than I probably ever have known about bird hunting and just that kind of dog working. So if you don't mind, I know you guys had the event this last weekend. So can you touch on that a little bit? Just, I thought you said that you were maybe the president of the club.
Right.
Yeah. Touch on the club and the event and just that whole thing.
So back in 2005, I met a guy out in Kansas at a hunt test, and he goes, "Y'all need to have a club over there in Missouri." And I said, "Yeah, we do. We need people." He goes, he said, "No, you don't. You just need a phone book." And I was like, "What?" He goes, "Just write names down. That's your membership roll. Just get the paperwork done and get AKC's approval on it." And I'm like, "What?" So I started the process of meeting the requirements of AKC, and I was putting the all the forms together they wanted and just making it look good. There was only like 3 or 4 of us at the time. There was a couple in Columbia. There's a lady over in St. Louis and me down here in Springfield. But took about a year and a half, and AKC gave us approval that we could hold events at that point. So we started off as a AKC hunt test club. We would do hunt tests. And in the hunt test world, it's non-competitive, but you're trying to get a junior title, a senior title, and a master title. And of course, that's increasing skill sets in each level. I won't go into that, but if you Google AKC Spaniel hunt test rules, you can find a PDF file that explains what each one of those are. And what I normally do when people call me and they're looking for a dog, or they're wanting, or got a puppy and they're wanting some help training, I tell them, go read those rules. And whether you ever run a test or not, doesn't matter. Read the rules and say, what skills are in this book that I'd like to have with my dog? And you can then pick out what skill sets you want. Tell me which ones you want, and I can help you get to that level if you want.
Yeah.
So we started there. And then in 2009, we actually got approval to actually host AKC field trials. And so for a number of years, we partnered with the Nebraska club, and we would go up there, and they would do an open and an amateur for 2 days, and we would do an amateur and an open for 2 days. So we had 4 days of trialing up there.
Wow, that's cool.
Around Palmyra, Beatrice, however different people say it, but in southeast Nebraska area. Yeah. So that's where we started our trialing. We had several club members. We had 4 or 5 down in Northwest Arkansas, and some spread around. But the only 2 or 3 of us that involved in trialing even was going up to help. So eventually we broke away from them and brought the trial to Southwest Missouri, and we used private ground for a number of years. But about the last 4 years, we've been using Robert Talbot Conservation Area. And there's only like 5 conservation areas in Missouri that the wildlife code book allows you to run field trials on. And so Talbot's one of them. And so we get to use, that ground. And it's really pretty cool. We don't need all of their 3,000 acres. We find, an 80-acre field or whatever, maybe 120, and we set up our course. So we actually use a very small footprint on that overall big property. Yeah. But we get it for the permits, $25. $25, and we get to use those grounds to hold our event. Yeah. So our trial this past weekend was just a weekend trial hosted by the Missouri Hunting Spaniel Club. We had 1 dog from Missouri entered in the trial. Oh, wow. It's not like we've got a whole bunch of people wanting to play our game to have because it's Springer Spaniel only, then only, that's what the only breeds able to compete. But we had 74 entries that came over. So we had dogs from South Texas to North Dakota. We had a handler come from Michigan. We had another one from Indiana. We had a guy from Iowa. Wow. So they were diversified. There's a pro trainer from Maine, been nationally known, nationally recognized pro trainer. He's wintering in Texas. Well, he comes over. So we got East Coast dogs there. When you look through the catalog, you go, well, they're from all over. Is this a national event? Nope. It's just a weekend trial trying to get a placement to qualify for the national.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
that sounds pretty awesome.
And we had dogs that are already field champions. We have some that are close to becoming a field champion, trying to get those last points or that win. We had the person that won the National Open in January is a lady from North Texas. She was there running, had 4 dogs entered in the event. A guy that placed in the National in January, he's there running a dog, and he had 7 or 8 dogs running. We've got, quality guys that have played at the national level and had accomplishments all right here in Southwest Missouri. You come and visit with them, see them. And,
well, there you go, people. If you're any bird hunters or enthusiasts out there right now listening to this that didn't know about the trial there, get a hold of Tim and go out there and show up. I'm sure he'd love to have you guys.
Yeah, I mean, we always can use a little help. And so that video I sent you, on the left-hand side, it showed a gunner that had a handler. And then behind the handler and the judge was somebody carrying a basket on their back.
Yeah.
Well, we call that the shag basket. So as dogs make retrieves and brings birds in, they drop them in that basket.
Yeah.
Well, you get to walk right behind the judge. I mean, you're really sitting there. You're providing a function that's necessary, but there's people that kind of fight over that basket at times. They want to be, because they got a front row seat. They got the best seat in the house, other than the judge and the handler sitting there watching it. So, so that's a cool thing that we need at times. That, but it's not something that you're just working and you're not getting to see the show. I mean, you're right up there in the front. And so we went through close to 400 pheasants this weekend. So we're putting pheasants down in the field. They're not shackled. They're not in a trap. They're not in any kind of a containment thing that some different organizations use. We're putting them down, and what we want is that bird ready to fly when that dog gets there. We're not wanting the dog to trap the bird. If it does, no harm, no foul. Picks up the bird, brings it in. The judge can judge their mouth, watching them. Do they handle the bird appropriately? Do they come right back in enthusiastically with the bird? They can see all of those things, once the dog gets a bird. But what we're really wanting to see is that dog to snap into that scent cone and drive in and produce that bird. And they're really trying to catch the bird. We don't teach a dog to flush. We teach a dog to catch birds.
Right.
And they were trying to catch the birds fly.
Yeah.
But the most tempting thing in the world is for that dog to go in and basically have tail feathers in its mouth, trying to grab that bird as it leaves the ground. And stop and not chase. Yeah. That's the dramatic part of that. Sure. The guns are an invited gun team. And they know the protocols of where to shoot and how to shoot for each dog, or for the dogs in general. And so we're not trying to give a dog a real long retrieve, but we want it to be 45, 50-yard retrieve if we can. So depending on where that bird flushes from, that bird might fly across the course and the outside gun on the other course shoots the bird. Now that dog's got an 85-yard retrieve or a 90-yard retrieve. And that dog's steady, is not chasing. Sometimes he can't hardly see over the grass.
Yeah.
And then they still go out there and make the retrieve.
Yeah.
They let them drive and keep going until they get there. It's really pretty cool.
Yeah, so, it's impressive. I
so
mean,
anyway, that's kind of what we're doing.
Yeah. No, I it's very impressive. I mean,
the trials are a lot of fun. And the dogs have to honor each other. They can't encroach on that dog's territory. If he puts a bird up on the wrong side, he's out for poaching. If a bird gets dropped on their side of the course, it's not theirs. They have to wait and let this other dog come over and make the retrieve. So you have an honor situation where the dog might be very tempted to go get that bird. So the upper level of the trained abilities is really pretty cool. Had a guy drive over from Houston and watch the trial, was trying to take some pictures. And when he left, he's been involved with dog sports and some other dog venues. And he told me, he says, I've never seen dogs that are that connected to the handlers. They're looking at you in the eye every time they make a pass across. You could just really see the connection that they have. And for him not to have ever seen one of our events before and pick up on the dog's reaction to everything, was really quite insightful,
Yeah. Yeah.
So we'll go down the course and produce birds. We get to the end of the field, we move over, we pick up a course on the way back, and we just keep. And the dogs have to come to the line wherever needed. Okay, so every dog should get 2 contacts unless they do something wrong and have to leave early. But if they leave early, the next dog in line comes and starts right there on the field where they're at and proceeds up the field. So we have to have dogs that are stable enough to hear guns going off, watch birds get shot, watch birds not be shot at that fly over us, exiting the field in a place unsafe for shooting. And the dog's watching all this. And then when you go up to the judge, your dog has to go down the course with you, not back where it last saw a bird fall.
Yeah.
And to me, sometimes that's pretty amazing. We got dogs that are mentally stable enough to handle those things as well. So anyway, that's a little bit about the trials. Our trial, the dogs that place and win at our trial are getting points qualifying for a national. And so that's what they're shooting for. It's an expensive game to play. And when you walk away with a win, you get a 37.5 pound bag of Purina dog food. You get a $25 plaque and a blue ribbon that costs maybe $8, and a big smile and a big smile on your face that you're the best dog of the day. So there's not a lot of money earnings. The coon dog world, my goodness, you can go and have a big money hunt and different types of hunts with that. You're not going to get that in the spaniel game, but it's what people get addicted to, and we have a lot of people that are retirement age. I'm getting close to that, but they can go and play differently than people that have day jobs. But it gives them a chance to be able to go in the field and enjoy their dogs and watch this amazing work that they're getting to see without necessarily, putting in 9 miles a day in North Dakota doing it. They can come play the game. It's controlled. They don't have to, if they have a little bit of mobility issue, they can still get out in the field and watch.
Yeah. No, I'm very, very impressed. All the obedience things and just the natural ability of them. It's really asking a lot of a dog to do all those things you just explained. So, we've been talking for an hour and 12 minutes almost already. I can't believe that, really. But before we get off here, I kind of like to ask people this, but you kind of gave me a memory earlier that was a good one for you. But what is one of your most favorite memories, one of the best times you had, whether it was when you was a kid or recently, in regards to working with your dog or something you saw your dog do while you was out hunting? What's a memory that comes up for you that you really cherish?
I've been very fortunate to have quite a few good memories. This dog right here, Josie, she was a very special one. She was the only dog I've ever became an amateur field champion with. And the day that she got her second win was something I'll never forget. How she hit the field. We'd gone through the first 2 series. We were up at the Plains Wildlife Area outside of Chicago, there just southwest of Chicago, and which that was the first location I ever saw a Springer field trial when I was in college. I drove up there from Tennessee and never ran up there again, never been on the grounds again until I took her up there for a field trial. And we got through the first 2 series, and I called my wife that evening and I said, I don't know if we did anything special enough to be in the last round, but they're not going to give out callbacks until later. So In the morning, I'll either be headed home or I'll be running the third. Well, middle of the night, wake up, check my email. She's back. Well, it's raining. Conditions aren't really the best, but they figured out how to get birds on the ground and keep them flying. When they were doing the open, I was in the amateur at the time. And so I sat and I kind of got a game plan together. Real strong left to right wind. I mean, I can describe it to the T. So I kind of moved 2 or 3 steps to the right. Instead of staying right in the middle where everybody's been walking, I kind of moved over to the right just a little bit because I wanted her to be rolling back to me through the wind and a distance from where they've been kind of planting that bird, so that when she hit that scent, it was a very dramatic snap and go in. Now, I was trying to set her up, and you think, how in the world do you set a dog up for a find? Yeah. You can do it with these dogs. I mean, you can really do it, and it's a thing of beauty when it happens. Well, she did exactly like I wanted her to, and found 2 birds, and I walked away with the biggest high ever, going, maybe I got a ribbon. That's all I was looking for. Maybe I got a ribbon.
Yeah.
Well, several hours later, they had some other stuff going on. When they finally gave out placements, 4th place dog was called back, or was placed, and I went, whew, I didn't want 4th. I needed a 3rd place. If I got 3rd place, I had enough points for a championship. If I had anything higher than that, then I was going to champion that day. Didn't get 4th, so I'm like, okay, I don't have to worry about that. 3rd place wasn't me. 2nd place wasn't me. And I'm thinking, crap, I know I had a good run. I can't believe it. Ribbon. And then it hit me. You just won this trial. And they called her name out. And of course, I had to hang around for an hour and a half before I should be driving. I was driving under the influence if I left sooner. But I remember that. That was a very special trial moment. But then during 2018 January, I got to video her retrieving ducks on the river.
Oh, wow.
And I shot a triple one morning. And she went after the last bird down that was kind of dove on her. And I was able to whistle. She looked at me. I cast her to the right and put her on a bird that was in the current, getting down the river. She swam over, caught that bird, brought it back. Then I lined her up and sent her back, and I put her through the current into the eddy on the other side and picked up a duck over there. And I got that on video. That's when I finally got my phone out and got to recording. So she gets that bird and comes back. I line her up and I send her for the last bird that's now legs up. And she doesn't see it. She keeps trying to go right, but I was able to stop her, cast her left, and then turn her. And she saw the duck then, picked it up, brought it in. And she pulled off a triple retrieve, and it was kind of a jump shoot. The only time I've ever shot a triple on ducks. I'm not a duck hunter. Yeah. I'm just shooting ducks when I get a chance, right?
Right.
That was special. But also that year, some birds got up on the right-hand side of a bend and went sliding around the corner. They were too far for me to shoot, but I had a buddy standing on the other side. I knew it was going to happen, so I positioned him to shoot birds when they come around. Yeah. And he drops one on the other side of the James River, and it's up against it. It's up by the last big tree before you go into a pasture. So they've cut that pasture down, made a pasture out of it, and anything in the timber is too steep of a bank to come, falling down the river. So that's kind of where they had to stop, right? Well, I get over there, and he goes, "It's right up there by that tree. I saw it flopping." And I'm like, "Holy cow! How did you?" He hit a well of a long shot to drop it down there, and it was a gadwall. So I sent Josie across the river, and then she handled on a back up that bank, hunted the face of the bluff. I hupped her, cast her one more time, and when she topped the hill, she got downwind of that duck, and she made that retrieve. And that's a memory that I'll never forget. So here I am. We're talking upland hunting, and I'm over here talking about watching my dog do duck retrieves. But that's what it's all about,
Yeah.
And, she could put up and to show you how the connection and the bonding is. she could put a woodcock up in a thicket and it fly out the other way. Now I'm standing back watching. I hear it flush. I'm looking. I don't see it. I can't even see her, but she stops on her own, right? So I call her back to me, and I walked around this thicket, and I was keeping her at heel. And it was like I had to stay on her a little bit, heel, don't go. And I started walking straight away because that bird didn't go right or left. I would have seen it. It went straight away. So I moved up straight away with her a little bit, and I could see her. She's starting to get on edge. She knows there's a bird, and she probably even saw it land from where she was at, and she's like ready to roll. And so I got to a spot where I could see to shoot, and I cast her off. She didn't go 15 yards, wheeled around, produced the woodcock, set steady. I killed the bird, sent her for the retrieve. And you just go, that's where the skill sets come in of being steady, bonding with you. In a wild bird setting, you can really make the situation handle pretty smoothly, Anyway, those are some fun memories.
No, that's what it's all about. Or if it's not, then that's probably what it should be about is you and your relationship with the dog and the memories made. So I appreciate you bringing those up, and I really appreciate you coming on here. I definitely learned a lot, and hopefully some people out there that either watched or listening enjoyed it, and maybe they'll want to come check out an event. They'll do a YouTube search for bird hunting. Maybe they'll get a dog. I would love to get together with you sometime and maybe do a video of going hunting, just kind of following along with you. And I think that'd be fun. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on here. And if you got anything you want to add now, go ahead. And otherwise we'll shut it down.
Well, thanks a lot for inviting me to come on and talk dogs. As you could tell, I could probably go for a couple more hours, but
I could too.
If people want to find me on social media, go to Instagram. It's Nottingham Kennels on Instagram, and they can scroll through my portfolio there and just see dogs. My day job is I'm an investment advisor, but you got to throw all these disclosures out there if you talk about that stuff. So I just put the dog stuff up there and have fun with it. I've got a YouTube channel, but if you go to Instagram, follow me, send me a message, I'll communicate and help somebody any way they can.
What's your YouTube channel?
Well, search for Timothy Baker and Nottingham Kennels, and that should find it. A lot of times it's hard to find. There's some other Tim Bakers out there that are musicians. That's not me. I play the guitar, but I'm not going to be on YouTube with it. But if they'll contact me through there, I can get them a link, to the channel. I throw a lot of the same things up, but maybe a little longer version of the videos on YouTube that's not on Instagram. But I train on the side. I take on 2 or 3 dogs because I got the space and I got some birds to do that, just to help people have nice hunting dogs.
Sure.
So I've got a lab coming back for some more advanced training. I've got a young golden coming in this spring. And then I've got a Springer that I sold a few years ago that we're trying to finish his master title this spring. So I've got him back in for training, but from time to time I might have a 7-month to a year-old dog that somebody needed to find a home for it, and I've polished it a little bit and might have a dog for sale, but it's just it's to give me an excuse and a reason to get out and play with my dogs is train somebody else's. But anyway, love to visit with anybody that wants to reach out and figure out how to have a better hunting dog this fall.
Sure. Well, yeah, you guys, you heard it there. Go check out all that stuff that he mentioned. And like I said, I got a ton of respect for you and all the people like you who put such an obedience based, spin on a dog, and just so impressive what they do. So thank you for coming on here and giving me and all the listeners maybe a different taste, a little mix up this week on dog hunting, and I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. You have a great day, Brendan. Look forward to taking you on the hunt sometime.
Yeah, let's do it. I'd love to do it and get the video camera out and video your dogs in action. So, yep, I'd love to do that.
Sounds great. Well, you have a great evening. Thanks for calling.
All right. You too. Take care. Well, that was a lot of fun. I kind of just sat back and listened, and yeah, there's a lot to all those types of dogs, and it's really impressive to see how much control and just ability that they have to do things kind of like what he was explaining there. So really appreciate Tim coming on, and got to be around him that night of that competition cast, and hopefully he'll make it out to another cast one of these days where maybe some dog work will be a little bit better. But yeah, I enjoyed that one. So make sure you guys reach out to him on those socials that he mentioned if you have any questions. As always, keep an eye on our YouTube channel. Hit that like and subscribe button to keep up with everything we're doing. If you're on the Apple Podcast or any of those platforms, hit that follow button, and that'll let you know anytime we have a new episode coming out. So appreciate all the feedback, the good and bad. So yeah, reach out to me if you have any questions, if you have any thoughts or anything on the videos that we're doing, and yeah, you guys have a good evening. We will see you next time. I'll be hunting dogs as always, and looking forward to the next one. See ya.